We're just going to watch the numbers build. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. I think we're just going to give it a minute and then we'll get started. Okay, why don't we go ahead and we will let people join as they come. So thanks for coming, everybody. Welcome to AMA. We're going to go through a few housekeeping items. This is the funniest housekeeping items. I don't think you can turn on your camera or mute your microphone, but if you can, we ask you not to do either of those things. We want to maximize the time today, and so we will be accepting questions live, but we ask that you just use the chat. I will do my best to keep those top of mind, and unless I know they're going to come up later in the talk, we'll make sure to answer as many questions as we possibly can. This session is being recorded. You should see that, and a copy will be available shortly. So just a few things on LMA specifically. Can expect to have 3 LMA boosters on the line and not get a quick pitch for membership. Obviously, I am biased, as Brenda and Allison will be as well, but this is, the best money I spend personally on professional development every year. Anyone who is thinking about an LMA membership, I would encourage you to speak with me, speak with Allison, whether it's networking or education. LMA has transformed my career in so many ways, and best deal in town, but it's 50% off. Also, we have next Thursday at 1 o'clock, so same day, same time, our friends at Alexa and the Canadian Legal Innovation Forum are putting together a webinar. You'll see the link in the chat shortly. So our friend Gary at Alexa is going to be on the panel, as well as folks from Audience View, Airden Burles, TMX, Lexco, and Ink Law. So they're speaking about BD challenges and opportunities, things that we're going to be dealing with in the next few months and the next few years to come. So it should be a great session. We're proud to be a sponsor. So again, the link is in the chat, and if you're available, we would encourage you to sign up. So over to our speakers today, Brenda and Allison. Neither of them needs an introduction, but I am going to follow the rules and do my best here. So Brenda Plowman is the LMA International President. She's also the Chief Marketing Officer at Fasken. In her role at Fasken, Brenda is responsible for building the firm's brand. She also drives change. She ensures that that change is meaningful to their clients, to the lawyers, and to the staff at the firm. She leads a national group of marketing, BD, and comms professionals. Before joining Fasken, Brenda taught marketing, this is so cool, at BC Institute of Tech. She also founded a successful consultancy and has led several respected organizations. In her current role as president of LMA International, where she finds the time, I don't know, she's focused on membership, advocacy, finances, of course, education, and then supporting the LMA regions, both across North America and now Europe. I met Brenda many moons ago at an LMA conference. I think it was in San Diego. And excuse my French, I thought she was a total badass when I met her. But also just so calm and cool and collected, the perfect combination for not only a CMO, but for the leader of such an incredible organization. So welcome, Brenda. Allison is the LMA Canada president. She is my president, She's also the director of marketing and BD at Tork & Mains. At Tork & Mains, Allison works with her management committee and her lawyers to enhance the firm's brand in the market. She's responsible for the execution of strategy. She oversees the client relations program, the BD coaching program, media relations, events. The list goes on and on. In her current role as president of our board, she's focused on increasing membership, building out our programming like today. And as the pandemic sort of eases up a bit, she's really committed to finding ways for us all to get back together and to start building on the relationships that we've either made through the pandemic or that we had solidified ahead of it. Allison is a person with 25 years of experience. She's worked at major firms, I think 4 major firms, but she's also somehow still the most positive, energetic, and frankly still gets pissed when she doesn't win things. And the passion that she has for legal marketing is, I love it so much. And I think we're so lucky to have Allison on the panel today. I'm Lindsay. I'm the director of marketing and BD at Lenzner Slatt. I'm president-elect of LMA Canada. I love this industry. I love this association. I'm not going to spend time talking about what I do all day, but if you want to connect with me, by all means, send me a note. Okay, I wanted to do one fun thing before we started, totally off the cuff. I'm going to ask you a few random questions. We're going to call it rapid fire. You have to answer this or that, and you both answer the questions, okay? There are no trick questions, and I'm just hoping this sort of opens it up a little bit. I'm also going to answer the questions because why not? Okay, rapid fire. Are we a coffee drinker or are we a tea drinker?
Coffee.
Tea.
Oh, I knew you were going to say tea, Allison. I'm a coffee drinker. Brenda, you and I know what's up. Get to the office early or stay late?
Early.
Late.
Okay, Allison, I'm split. You have an afternoon off. You're going to read a book, you're going to watch a movie, or you're going to listen to a podcast?
I'm going to work outside.
You're going to work outside like on your farm, or you're going to physically like work Baskin LMA work?
On my farm.
Okay, you're doing the right thing. Allison, book, movie, podcast?
I'll say watch a movie since I'm such a giant TIFF fan.
Oh, love that. Okay. 2 lawyers have walked in your office and they need your help. You can only help one of them. Are you helping the corporate person or are you helping the litigation person?
Ooh.
I have no choice. I have to help the litigators.
Well, the litigators are going to scream louder if you don't help them.
They're going to give you hell.
I'm going to call Romero to help the corporate person, and I'm going to help the litigator. How about that? Because Romero, I see you're on, so we're going to split it.
Okay, yeah, we'll find a way to help them both. That's the answer.
Okay. Spoken from true national full service law firm folks. Allison, we know you love the theater. The last theater show I saw was Harry Potter. What was your last theater show?
6 chick flicks at the Toronto Fringe Festival. It was fantastic.
Oh, you went to Fringe. Cool. Fringe is amazing for anybody in Toronto who hasn't done it. Yeah. Brenda, we know you have a beautiful farm. What animals are living on your farm right now?
2 big dogs laying behind me, 100 pounds, so there's no guarantee that they'll be quiet. 2 inside cats, 2 outside cats named Bonnie and Clyde. You can guess what their job is all day long. And 4 alpacas.
4 alpacas. Okay. Amazing. Yeah. Amazing.
10.
We're going to visit your farm very, very soon, Brenda. Okay. We are going to get started. Thank you for doing that with me. So we got a lot of questions in advance. So what we did was we broke them into a few different categories. So marketing will go first. We have a BD category. We have a career development category, a lot of questions there. And then what we've called the future of the profession. So again, if you have questions, I'm just going to keep the chat open. And but we're going to go right into it. And thank you to everybody who submitted questions ahead of time. They were amazing. So on marketing, and I think you can both answer this, tell us one project that would be considered marketing that you've done in your career that you're proud of, maybe what was involved and why. We'll go Brenda first.
Okay. So this is an interesting one because the second question I'm really proud of, the rebrand that we did in our firm, but I'm going to focus on our client service excellence program because it's a work in progress and it's something that was built out of 100 interviews with lawyers around the firm, and then really bringing that all together, synthesizing what service means in a law firm context. So it's not pure marketing. And I think that's why it's an important one to focus on, but it is about how the clients experience us every day. From there, we built out the 6 principles and we've been working on rolling them out ever since. I've got a really important meeting next week that really brings us to all the other professionals in the firm. And we've been working on training and we continuously work on this because it's something that's so important to us. So it's got all the aspects of what are we doing? And then it's figuring out how to infuse this into a law firm context. So for me, it's one that I know makes a big difference. And I've seen the benchmarks for our firm grow, but it's also really hard to get people to pay attention to. So I love this project because it's hard.
Nice. Loves a challenge. Alison?
I'm going to talk about 1 year, 3 projects because I'm astonished that we survived that year. So it was the year I started in Torque and Mains 9 years ago. We created a new website. We purchased and launched a CRM, and we organized several events to celebrate the firm's 40th anniversary. And, you know, there were all kinds of challenges. That was the year Castle came in. When I joined the firm, the website was really old. You know, they were like, this has to be done like, you know, within months. And there were 2 people working in the department at the time. And so it's now 9 years later. We're starting work on a new website. We're getting ready for our 50th anniversary. And now I'm getting worried, does that mean that I'm going to have to like launch another CRM soon? Is this like a perfect storm coming up? So anyways, that's my proudest achievement, is getting through that year.
Nice, nice. I was on a podcast yesterday, the Passel podcast. If anybody hasn't listened, the CMO Passel podcast is great. And we did the talk, I did it with my colleague Audie, and it was about the 2 big projects we launched in 2019. And we like reflecting back, what were we thinking? Like that was crazy. But that's very, very cool. The rebranding, obviously, anniversary year. I'm also in an anniversary year right now. Lindsay Slat's turning 30. And so we're doing what we're calling a refresh, not a rebrand. But have you led rebrands? And if so, what was the biggest lesson learned? Talk us through how those projects went. And maybe we'll start this time with Alison.
So I was working with the team at FMC when we did a rebrand back in about 2010. And at the time we had 7 offices across Canada and over 500 lawyers. And we did the entire project in 8 months because there was they really wanted to move it quickly. And so a lot of long days for everybody involved. It was pretty crazy. And, you know, I found that, you know, a rebrand is the ultimate collaborative experience, you know, for a firm like that with offices across the country. And, you know, a change in your visual identity is going to change everything. And so, you know, everybody's involved, like, you know, all the admin folks, you know, all the lawyers, all the assistants, you know, it's you've got to update online templates, all kinds of things that you can't even imagine. We had this massive spreadsheet where we listed absolutely everything that had to be changed and when it was going to be changed and who was going to change it. And we found that, you know, probably our biggest, what was really important and a big challenge was communication, you know, across all offices. I tell you, I wish we had Zoom back then. It would have made things like a lot easier to be able to talk face to face with people all the time. You know, big lesson, I'd say, you know, big learning from it was, you know, making sure to share the brand story internally, remembering that everybody at the firm is a brand ambassador, no matter who they are. And, you know, just ensuring that messaging is communicated out and throughout the firm. That's it.
Love that. Brenda?
So my learnings are actually really similar to yours, Alison. I can't even tell you. We did a rebrand in 2017. And, you know, my big goal for the firm was really, and we'd been at the doorstep 3 times of a rebrand and we weren't able to do it. So we were Purple and Orange and Mobius. So I took some big risks to push this forward in our firm from a strategic point of view. So that wasn't easy. That's a story for another day over wine, or the type of thing that we did in San Diego, which PS, and by the way, I felt the same about you, Lindsay. That was a lot of fun and brings me a lot of great memories. But, you know, I think one of the things when we did reach that moment and we redid our website and we redid the whole brand, and I had a big ambition for how I wanted to position us relative to other firms. And I know in the end, we achieved it. I did 17 sessions across our firm, just talking to people and helping them move along that path. Particularly our lawyers and other team members. It is a massive collaboration, but that communication, that ongoing dialogue, and making sure that day that you flip the switch, that people know what's happened, where you're going, and what you're trying to achieve. And I would just say, you know, I think that happened. I used to say to them, can you put this jersey on, being a true Canadian, you know, thinking about a hockey analogy. And I've had a lot of our lawyers who will write to me in the middle of the night and they'll say, I'm working on the PowerPoint. I just want to tell you how cool I think our Fasken brand is today, because they owned it, right? Because it had to be released from us. And sure, Allison, to your point about the brand ambassadors, just can't, you know, speak to that enough. And we might have some upcoming changes as well.
Brenda, I remember I was at BLG when both Lenzner Slatt and Fasken in the same year rebranded. And I actually think there was something in common here, which was we used different agencies that no one else had been using. So I think I can say you guys used Sid Lee, and we used Leo Burnett. And I do think that some of that, it's a game changer, right? I think we brought different sort of people to the table, and I wasn't here. I'm taking credit for something that I didn't obviously do, but have reaped the rewards of for sure. So very, very cool. I love the Fasken brand. I love the orange, and thank God the purple's gone.
Persimmon.
Oh, excuse me, persimmon. Yes, ours is teal, and when the lawyers call it blue, we all freak out. So
I know. That's how we are.
Okay, so next category is BD. Similar first question. What is a BD project in your career that you are particularly proud of, and why? And maybe we'll go Brenda first.
Great. So, you know, we're really fortunate, I think, at Fasken that we've had a long-standing business development group of professionals, and they've been working on evolving our strategy all the way along. So I'm not going to focus on that. So we do plans, they execute, they live those plans. And I think we're really moving to next level where we're connecting our regional strategies to our firm-wide ones. But what I thought I would focus on is our client listening program. So audits is what some of you call it. But I think this is one of the most important things that we have done. And we've done it over the last several years, where we're spending time talking to our clients, really getting that information from them, listening to what they're saying, and then actioning against that. And it ties into client service excellence, but it allows us to really drive a strategy from a business development perspective that's based off the clients. And I think one of the most powerful things about that is it's really hard for a lawyer to push back when the client has asked for it or told us what we could do differently. And just one tiny example, so we go over all of our transcripts with the client manager lawyer. And recently we had a technology tool that was available. The lawyers could talk about it to the clients. And we met with a client. The client said, you know, I really wish that you had had a ABC tech tool. Well, we do, right? When we talked to the lawyer, he said, I never thought about raising that tech tool with the client, right? I just didn't think they'd be interested. So it was an easy win for him. And it was a great win for us. And we were able to answer the client's, you know, question. And I think that's really huge when you can do that and have that kind of an impact quickly. So I just think that's one of our biggest business development tools today.
Yeah, I think client listening is so powerful. You just sort of assume that the lawyers are having these kind of conversations sort of day to day, month to month, during matters, et cetera. But they're not. And so you end up getting these sort of nuggets, right? That aren't novel, but that you can action. So it's a win-win. Yeah. Allison, BD project.
Yeah, so we had one. So I guess we started work on this, I guess it was about 6 or 7 years ago. Well, we weren't the first firm to jump on the cannabis bandwagon. When we did, we like jumped on with both feet. And we brought in a couple of new people into the cannabis group. And so we had the opportunity to work with some of our lawyers on a very targeted, specific industry group. And we worked with them, put together a microsite with a blog, and they did lots of social sharing. And when the whole lottery system launched in Ontario, we saw the opportunity to facilitate introductions between the new retail store owners and the licensed producers and the investors and all that sort of thing. And so we held like a big, huge party at the Chef's Assembly Hall, and introduce all these folks to each other. And the result was that we wound up representing about 25% of all the new retail store owners and many of those licensed producers and stuff, and then carried on doing a lot with them, and then continued to hold regular events where these people had the opportunity to meet each other and network. Because I find what's really valuable to our clients is for us to give them the opportunity to meet other people that they need to be successful, not just doing their legal work. So yeah, I think that's been a great project. And it's been great too, because we can track all the revenue on it, and provide regular reports. Some of the areas are a lot more vague, but this was very specific, and we could say, yes, this is how much we invested, this is how much revenue we got. So that was great. Very cool.
So thinking about COVID, obviously this has changed the way that we interact with our clients. Some of it, I think, for national firms or even for regional firms who have national clients, it's been a bit of a game changer. A little less travel, a little less of the sort of routine things. But in terms of client engagement activities, and define those with whatever example you'll give, they've changed now. So can you give us an example of what you think is working really well, given the maybe constraints of COVID? Brenda, let's go, Brenda.
Okay. I think it's a hard one, right? Because I think we've all done well in the context of COVID and what we're doing right now, right? There's this intimacy where we're able to be in each other's lives. If my dogs bark, there's still a bit of forgiveness. My cat walks across the whatever. If you have kids, people are sort of running around. So there's a humanness that has come. I think I asked some of our teams about this question because I wanted to sort of get a sense from them coming into this. And some of them said, the replacement of things that we sent directly to clients versus events that we would hold, those went a long way on people's doorstep, and just thinking about small things that we could do because, going through the pandemic, we all went through it. I think the challenge is we need human contact. Like, I know what I've found as I've started to travel again is just that ability to reconnect. So it isn't all what works well. I think we have to find a balance between connecting like this and then connecting with each other. And so I think, going forward, there's a bit of a challenge there because I don't know that we can sustain just this forever and have the same result. So for me, I think those pieces work really well, but I think human contact is so incredibly important.
Yeah, I totally agree. Allison?
Well, when I first started in legal marketing, we used to have all kinds of these massive cocktail receptions. That was our big thing. Yeah. And you would have these huge receptions and all kinds of clients would come, or for a big specific client. And I think that was going the way of the dodo anyways before COVID. And I think COVID sort of has done a lot of those really big parties you might see some, but, very focused. We like doing smaller events and again, events where we can introduce our clients to other people that they would like to meet, things like cooking events or track days, or, trying to do something that's, find out what the client's interests are and make sure that it aligns. Mm-hmm. I think, like if there's a great new restaurant in town, like organizing a dinner and stuff like that. But I think that the events, there definitely has to be a target, and you have to think about who's coming rather than a big random, let's invite everybody sort of event. Like there's just not the appetite for people to go out and sort of risk being in a big event unless there's, a good reason for it.
Yeah, I think I've heard from so many of my friends at firms that it's the tailored approach now. Like you just have to deal one-on-one with these clients and figure out what it is that they're comfortable with doing. And
Yes.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, that is BD. So career development, critically, of course, important piece of people's professional lives. So I mean, we are obviously going to prioritize our LMA journeys, ladies. So what was your LMA journey from first volunteering to becoming international and Canadian president? And what advice would you give? I think we have people that are interested in doing something similar. And so we'd love to hear about your journey. And we'll go with international pres first. Brenda.
Well, I mean, it's a bit of a long journey, but I think it's one worth talking about. Last night I had the opportunity to attend the Vancouver Summer Social, and I was saying to these ladies, it was incredible because I met with people that have been with their firms for a week, a month, 10 years and beyond. And I've been with mine for 16 years. So early days, I got involved with LMA to a lot of the points, Lindsay, that you raised in the beginning and how transformational it's been. What it gave me at that point in time, and I started to get actively involved. So yes, participate in things, but start to be involved on committees. So that is where it began. And what happened there is I started to build a network, and you're going to hear that as something I'm going to carry through with a lot of my feedback. I worked through and I became a chapter president. And some of you may or may not know, but the Vancouver chapter was the first chapter in Canada and was a really big deal. And we had a really rock star group of people. And some of those people were at that event last night, right? So, fast forward 15, 16 years, those relationships are still strong. I got involved, I started to put my hand up, I attend things, I started to get to know people, and I got asked to be a part of the annual conference advisory committee a ways back. And, yesterday I wished happy birthday to somebody who I served on that with, who's in Texas, who's now a president of a region. And I just think about that relationship and how it built. And then I was on the educational advisory committee. So when that call for volunteers goes out, whether it's in Canada or internationally on a committee, I say get involved. And then eventually I decided to put my name forward for the board. And I'd had a lot of people encourage me to do that on the international board. And so as I sort of went through that journey, I wanted to keep learning. I wanted to do a lot for our profession. So that was culminating in this role and really coming to this place. So things along my journey, it was hard stuff. I was the treasurer of LMA International in the pandemic. And I can tell you that I lost a lot of sleep, got a few gray hairs, and worried a lot about our association that's nearly 4,000 strong. And then I've watched us kind of come from there. And now I'm charting a path that is one that is to set us on a future path. And so how did I get him? What did I do? And what would I say to you? Put your hand up, attend events, meet people, connect, walk through the door when it's put in front of you. Just do it. I promise you that you will not regret it.
I love that. Say yes is the best. Alison?
So I went to my first LMA International Conference in Toronto in 2001. Fun fact, it is the only time that LMA conference has been held outside of the United States. And I've been a member of LMA ever since. And I've attended a lot of the international conferences over the years and, made so many good friends at those conferences. It's such a fabulous opportunity, the networking, and also the educational component is amazing. I've also attended most of the local chapter LMA events and lunches and professional development stuff. I joined the LMA Canada board in 2019 as the secretary, then treasurer in 2020 and president-elect in 2021 and currently president. I would recommend, get involved. I do wish, although I was involved, over the years and I recognize the importance of it, once you get involved on the board or in an, as a chapter, you know, volunteering on committees, there's so much more benefit that you can reap from it. So I do highly recommend, you know, people starting out in their career to get involved at some level as a volunteer. It's really helpful to your career.
Yeah, I think people always ask me, like, how do you find the time? Because we have busy day jobs, right? Do you have, I don't know, any tip for just carving out the time? For me, I think it's that I'm just genuinely interested and I want it to be better. I want to do the thing where I potentially leave this industry and it's better than when I stepped into it. So any tip for how you find the time?
I always felt that it was something important out of my sort of worth spending, you know, my personal time, like to take like chunks towards this, because it's not just, it's making me a better legal marketer, sure, but it's also making me a better person, and you know, I'm making friends. Like it's of benefit in so many ways, and especially, you know, as a stress relief. Like, I know it's very stressful, all the work we have to do, but also those people that we develop relationships can help us sort of cope when things are tough. And when you need to throw out a question, when you need somebody you can really rely on, you know, and you ask them something, they'll answer, because, you know, it's not, you know, you can throw out questions on the listserv and on the forums, but having people that, you know, you can reach out to and are going to answer you immediately is great.
I mean, during COVID, that was the power, right? I think my firm always supported LMA, and I came in beating the drum, so they had no choice. But when I needed to know what was happening on return to office, I had a network of really sophisticated firms to be able to speak to. And that went a long way at this firm during a really stressful time. Sorry, Brenda, I interrupted you. You go ahead.
No, I hadn't started. All good. And I agree with you on that. And one thing that I'm really noticing now, and I'm seeing the power, and I didn't do it for this reason. I'm going to talk about stewardship in just a second, but I am now able to reach into other firms and set up meetings for our lawyers, because we're all in this together, and really build connections, which is so powerful. But how do you make the time? I mean, I do think that being more well-rounded isn't just doing the work. Like, you know, one of my colleagues said to me, and we've worked together for our entire careers at Fasken, early days of meeting him, he said, they're just going to continue to give you work, right? So make sure you decide what you're going to do. And I think, how do you make the time? I mean, I'm telling you, at a time crunch perspective right now, I'm in it as much as I could be in this role, but I think, how do I make the time? I think it's a choice, because it makes you better at your firm, because you're able, so doing that kind of stewardship, doing something that's good for our profession, is good for you, is good for your firm. And, you know, what Allison said, you know, being able to contact somebody, what you said, Lindsay, in terms of just being able to get that intel so fast, it's very powerful. And so if you're starting in your LMA career, that is the real benefit. And speaking to people that work at law firms like you, so the three-headed beast that we all belong to, which is awesome and stimulating and forever will keep you learning and growing, but just not having to explain that to somebody from a marketing perspective that understands and can get to answering your question or helping you really quickly, the value is exceptional. So don't spend as much time as me or Allison's having to spend right now. Just invest a couple hours a month and build your network.
Yeah, that's great advice too. You don't need to go right to the top. You just small steps, right? Okay, so other than LMA, we love LMA, that's clear. But there are other associations that are maybe not popping up, but there's some old, there's some new. What other associations do either you leverage, or do folks on your teams leverage for education and networking?
So for me, so I've been involved in the Law Office Management Association, TLOMA. When I first joined Torque and Baines 9 years ago, I joined the TLOMA board. and got really involved. I was involved on that board for about 4 years, and it was really good because I was coming to a mid-sized law firm after working at large law firms. And so it's different. And so, and Taloma has a lot of members, and Taloma has, you know, all the different admin departments. So it serves HR and IT and facilities and finance. So I got to learn a lot about how the different firms operated, and meet a lot of people, and learn about, you know, those different admin departments. So it was, and being on the board meant that I, you know, really got the benefit of all of that, which was great. So that's one. The International Association of Business Communicators, IABC. I've been to a couple of their conferences, and they're fantastic. Lindsay, I know you went to one recently, and you know, one of the members of my team is always a member of IABC, so I, you know, highly recommend them. Canadian Marketing Association is also good. But that's sort of the highlights from me. What about you, Brenda?
So just picking up, I again did a little bit of a survey of the team just to get a sense. So I think there are those associations like Taloma across the entire country. So regardless of where you are, you know, I was involved in BC. I know one of the team members is involved in Calgary. So those association of legal administrators are really good. Part of what you're able to do when you do that is build your relationships even within your own firm with the other leaders in your firm, which is important. Both the Canadian Marketing Association, the American Marketing Association, something like the Calgary Marketing Association. So all those different marketing type associations people are getting involved in. Recently, and I know I was talking to some people at another firm last night, a couple other firms, they attended more in the realm of industry conferences. So a lot of people went to Collision in the last couple of weeks. We had people from our team going to that. So I was going to say International Association of Business Communicators. So, I mean, I think there are a lot of other places that you can go out and get some insight. And I think you should, right? Because what happened, and you leaned into this, Lindsay, initially when you were talking about brand, we brought in different agencies because it helped us bring in different points of view, right? So this is good when we bring in other points of view. So I sit on things that are CMO that aren't related to specifically legal. I sit on the Sitecore Leadership Board, and I'm sitting there with businesses that are not in our realm at all. And I mean, I'm sure we sound weird. They're, you know, but I learn so much because I'm exposed to them, and so I'm learning about something else. So I think there's just so many different places that we can get involved in.
Yeah, I mean, I think of it like all the things I subscribe to. I don't just subscribe to legal things. I subscribe to a million things because I know it broadens the perspective, right? That's great. I guess a shout out for IABC. We did just go to that conference and it was amazing, and would highly suggest it. And it's in Toronto next year. What was the best thing that you did to invest in yourself? And you can't say LMA and your career. Allison, do you want to go first?
Oh my God. So when I was thinking about this one, I thought about all kinds of different things and, you know, education that I've had, like I did the IV marketing program, and that was, you know, great. Like, so getting some, something like that, like sort of on your resume is very helpful. And then I thought, what am I thinking of? I'm crazy. It's like getting involved with LMA. That's the best thing I did. So then I stopped thinking of other things. I think that the best thing you can do is do the best job you can at whatever it is you're doing, right? And to find ways to learn more about it, and to meet people, like, you know, find a mentor, you know, talk to other people, build a network. I mean, that's the best thing you can do.
Brenda?
So definitely build a network, but I think I'm going to bring that up a little bit later and take it with you for your career. The best thing I did was really have other experiences beyond legal, right? Like, I've been at my firm for 16 years, but I am not a one-trick pony. And, you know, I ran my own company, as Lindsay said. I was incredibly involved at an association leadership perspective in the BC Chamber of Commerce. I was the president there. We had member associations. I was young. I got on the board of the Canadian Chamber as a result of that. I had a lot of exposure to business. And so I was just curious, and I've always been curious. And so what I kept doing was I kept opening the doors that were in front of me. I kept being keen, I kept being interested. And when I saw a door, I opened it, and I looked around to sort of figure out if I wanted to do it. And so I think, you know, even in my firm, sometimes people will think, oh, well, she knows this, but I know like a lot of thises because I have a lot of experience. And because of that, I think I'm well-rounded.
I have a lot of thises. That's amazing. You do, Brenda. I believe it. I love this question. What's your best advice to a young marketer looking to advocate for themselves in their firms? I mean, firms, all shapes and sizes these days. So many different jobs. What's the piece of advice you would give to the young folks? Or maybe not even the young folks, new to legal, either or.
So
I think,
yeah,
go ahead, Brenda. Okay. I certainly think that, keeping track of your successes and making sure that people know, like, remember that you're a team, you're working as a team, but, I found that, that the lawyers, but by having the team look good, the individuals look good as well. So if you can find ways, like, we've put together shortly after I joined, like a monthly newsletter that sort of talked about all the things that we were doing and that was, happening at the firm, and making sure that we shared when lawyers had, successes that, there's some marketing involvement in and stuff like that. And because I think, so often you hear people say, oh, I don't know what marketing does or whatever. So, keeping the lines of communication open are the best thing you can do, and always being willing to like jump in and take it that extra step. When you get asked for something, like, make sure that you really understand what it is that you're doing, and then giving the best that you can.
Brenda?
I agree. Allison, you and we didn't talk about our answers in advance, but we're on the same page a lot. I would say be present. Go to the firm events, be in people's doorways. If you're invited to come back to work, be at work. Find people, don't sit at your desk, and make sure that you're seen, because people are very, very busy. And I think at the end of the day, though, when you are seen and you are contributing, not just be seen, but you have to be contributing as well. I think that people do pay attention to that. So the best way to advocate for yourself is do great work, be present, be a team player, and just, be seen.
Yeah, I love it. It's a complicated life right now, right? With return to office. But I think there are definitely things that legal marketers can do to leverage that time that you're getting in the office, even if it's limited. Okay, I think we'll roll on. How do you, this is a great segue. How do you recommend building relationships with lawyers when you're at the early stages of your career, other than being in front of their face? Brenda, do you want to go first?
Sure. So I would say, this is all connected. None of it's really different, right? It is all very integrated. So keep growing and keep building your network, because networks are powerful things. You have to be constantly doing that. I think one of the things as a young new marketer that you likely bring is an understanding of the digital landscape by your generation, if you're sort of younger. So that is a really powerful tool, because if you can help people in this context understand how to build their profile and how to get out on social media and some of those other things, it's going to go a long way. But please, my biggest thing is never say it's not my job. Or I don't know. Unless you finish, I don't know with, let me find out for you, right? I don't know is okay, but just have that servitude attitude. And so say, I'm not sure, but I'm going to find out for you. When you do that, lawyers start talking about you as somebody who gets stuff done. So it might not even be you. So it's okay to do that, but just add that bit on the end and you're going to see your relationship with lawyers soar.
I love it.
Yeah. I'd say provide excellent client service. It's what we tell our lawyers and it's what we need to do. And so when dealing with lawyers, just to be responsive, make sure you understand what they do. And it's okay to ask questions. Like, you know, if you, I know it can be really confusing sometimes. Like, you know, I remember at my first law firm job and there were areas of law that I was like mystified about. And then, you know, later I found out that most people are mystified about some of those areas of law, even other lawyers. So, you know, asking questions is fine. And it shows that you have an interest. But, you know, make sure that you do your research too. So, you know, you're asking, you know, sort of insightful questions.
Yeah, I think we discount that the lawyers love talking about their practice and about themselves. Maybe we're not discounting that. Maybe we're all living that every day. But I have found, and maybe it's not totally related to relationship building, but the learning piece has been so important in my career. And the lawyers notice the folks that are really paying attention. Through the pandemic, what's been very cool is obviously we're a litigation shop. I've been sitting in court with them virtually, and I've been watching them in court, and we've done it several times. We've done it here in the office. We've watched them on the big screen. But these are public links a lot of the time, and it's been so cool to learn more about sort of the day-to-day and minute-to-minute what happens in front of the judges. So cool.
I agree with you, and it's powerful.
Yeah, and they love it.
You want to talk about understanding the business, and you're seen as something else. And I remember an experience where a colleague was kind of like, I'm not going to pay attention to that. And I'm like, you're not in marketing and business development, of course, in a different area. And I thought you're missing out, right? There's so much here to understand better.
Yeah, no, it's not a burden. It's total value. What is one skill or trait you think is important to be a good leader? You're both leading teams, different sizes, different shapes, but what's the skill for a leader? Allison, do you want to go first?
I think something really important is empathy, is like understanding how others around you are feeling, your coworkers, your lawyers, the clients, you know, because everybody's perceptions are different. So sort of understanding where others are coming from is important, and you know, different people on the team, you know, different things are important to them. They just different things inspire them. And so figuring that out, what it is that they're really looking for, and you know, figuring out how to press those buttons, and finding that out by talking to people. You know, communication is the most important thing, like making sure that you are, you know, talking to people on your team to gain that understanding.
Brenda, I don't know, how big is your team? God, you must have 50, 60, 70 people? Am I overdoing it? Oh boy, I wasn't even close at 50. Okay, what the hell are you doing for 85 people? Tell us.
Well, first of all, I'm not doing it alone. So I have a whole team of people who work on this. I think the thing I'm going to say, which builds on, I mean, empathy is so huge, Allison. I'm capturing it as listening. So really listening, like seeing how somebody looks in their eyes when they're in front of you, like if they're really tired, like not the words they say, their physical body, kind of how they might be responding to something, like really, really listening to how they interact with you better. You know, what are the things that like light them on fire? What are the things that they're finding as a burden? How are they interacting with other people, even when you're not in a meeting? Listening to everything that is not the words they say, it's the words they say and everything else. Listening for me, and then communicating and kind of being adaptable, flexible, changing things up. So I'm worried about that right now, right? Like it's one of the things that I worry the most about because we're
Yeah.
far away from each other. Whereas when I used to be able to travel more and see people, I could do something where I spent time with them and I could see, and I could, you know, maybe they'd give me a sign or something like that. So I worry about it in this context a lot. It's the thing I lose sleep about, if you want to know the truth. Like, because I want people to stay and I want them to grow and I want to find out if it's good for them or, and it's a hard environment. It can be a hard environment, right? So
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah, I like it. And I love the definition of it being more than just what they're saying. Yeah, so important. What has been the hardest leadership skill for you to develop? I have several, but what's been the hardest for you? And maybe it's still a challenge and you're still working through it, but how did you work through it? Brenda, maybe you go first.
Okay, so this is an interesting one to think about. And last night somebody asked me about delegation and, you know, how do I guess you just need to delegate more and this, that, and the other thing. And I was like, I think that's actually for me, not what I'm doing, right? So I think what I've had to learn is allowing people to contribute to their true potential, right? Like giving them the space to be as great as they are. And in a context where, you know, there can be judgment and we are time pressed and everything else like that, how do I create that, right? And just let it go and know that they'll scrape their knees and that they'll find their learnings and that we'll be okay. And so I continuously work on that, and I'm trying to extricate myself every day more and more and give my team more and more room.
Good for you.
It's a
Awesome.
work in progress.
It's very hard. It's very hard.
I'd say that, you know, maybe it's like keeping people on track with projects without micromanaging, because like I think it's great for people to like take on responsibility. And but yeah, like for me, sort of keeping track of where we are with stuff and making sure that I'm pushing it along at the right level. Because, you know, maybe sometimes I feel like sometimes I have like too much empathy for, oh my God, I'm so busy. And you know, and then there's the commitment to sort of getting projects done. So it's finding that balance. And I think that's something that's really important, you know, for a leader to be able to do that. And I think that, you know, by having regular check-ins, like, you know, we have a weekly marketing meeting, so that way I can like sort of keep up without having to like, you know, sort of micromanage, which I find, you know, can be a really annoying trait in a leader, you know, but occasionally necessary depending on, you know, the team members. As I said, everybody's different.
Yeah. Yeah, I have found in the smaller firm as compared to the big firm, the partners are more, they know what's going on more. And so it's the question at 9 o'clock at night, where are we at with that thing? And I've always felt this anxiety that I have to know every single thing that's going on. And I'm trying to stop that. It's the Brenda, it's the, I don't know, but I'll let you know tomorrow morning. Like I know someone on the team is on that. And I'll get back to you. Maybe that's not a leadership skill necessarily, but it's the thing I've been grappling with.
But one thing that's really saved me is learning how to delegate and trust. Yeah. And that has made such a difference to like sort of releasing stress and you know, knowing that you can just delegate to somebody and you trust. And like Brenda said, occasionally some people are going to scrape their knees or whatever. But, you know, it is like so important.
Mm-hmm. What would you tell your younger self, Brenda? What would you tell young Brenda?
I had a chance to think about this recently because I was reading something and it was about building networks. And I've said this all the way through, but I think you need to build a cohort that you continue going through your life with. And you're going to meet new people, you're going to add people, but take care of that group and nurture those relationships and give back and spend more time. Like I've been busy most of my career. I do multiple things. I have a farm, like, you know, and so today I try to make sure I pause and I nurture that relationship more and I take the time. And I wish I'd done more of that, because the value of those people who are closest to you
Mhm.
is remarkable. I'd also say, watch out for those people who become your advocates, because there's people watching you and they have such an amazing ability to help you on your journey if
Mm.
you let them. So different than mentors, because mentors are important. And I think Allison mentioned mentors before, but you're also going to find advocates along the way and nurture those relationships as well. And if you haven't heard it, I did a podcast with Hilary Sale, and it's on the website, and she talks about working and nurturing your advocates, and it's very powerful.
I love it. You never know who's watching. It's not creepy, but it's like, it's so true, but it is a real thing. Allison?
Well, I know one thing, like certainly when I was like starting out in my career in legal marketing, there was like so much stress about how much work there was to do. And you know, and you felt this obligation to finish everything first, and so that there was a lot of stress involved. So I would tell myself that, you know, you're going to get pulled in a lot of directions, and not all requests are actually urgent. And so looking at triaging and prioritizing, but making sure that you're clear with communications and setting expectations, because, you know, I think sometimes you're asked for something, and as a young legal marketer, I would feel the stress to like do that immediately. But meanwhile, the person who's asking doesn't need it for a few days. And so, you know, you can sort of look at things and figure out what is actually urgent, and when there is something urgent, like get on it. But I think that, you know, there was a lot of stress and worrying that I did that maybe some of that was unnecessary. So.
Yeah, it's a complicated journey. Okay, I think we're gonna wrap up with one more section here. The future of the profession. There's a very controversial question, I think, on this one. Oh, there isn't. Okay, we're good. This is a great ending, and we're gonna go with, well, maybe we can do both. Lawyers, we've written here, lawyers can be challenging, but they also have superpowers. What is the superpower of the legal marketer today? And what is going to change in the future? Brenda, we'll go with you first.
Okay, so I think it's the same superpower that it's always been. And I think it's going to stay the same, which is our ability to adapt. And so our ability to take in new information and be able to present that in our firms, our ability to respond to what is constant change, our ability to be flexible and adjust to what's going on. That is our superpower. We do way more than marketing and business development every day, way more. And it's why I picked a few of the projects I did, because they're not like create a brochure, build a website. Like those are all important things that we do all day long. But we're constantly pivoting on what is needed, right? So one of my old sayings used to be, did we give a lawyer what they wanted, or did we give them what they needed, right? So that adaptability, flexibility, and tenacity are our superpowers, because people will sometimes put us down, right? Or say that's a bad idea. And we have to think about how to bring it forward and always bring our professional selves forward and bring our ideas forward. So for me, that is our superpower. It's a difference maker.
Love it. Allison?
And another superpower is that we're the ability to connect, and we connect people, and we connect lawyers and clients, we connect people in the industry, and we're, you know, we have a ton of energy, we're engaged. We also have the communications function at the firm. So we're the ones that are posting stuff on the website, like, you know, information going out externally about the firm, and a lot of internal. It's our department. So so that connectivity and communication is so important, and that is I think that is like a major power for us.
It is.
I love being a connector. Okay, one sentence, biggest opportunity for young marketers in this industry. Brenda first, then Allison, and then we're wrapping it up.
Data, digital, it's changing everything.
Yeah.
This is massive. Like, we haven't talked about the trends, but it is everything. It's at the core.
Yeah, agreed. Data. Allison?
Yeah, what I see is that, there's a lot more technology, like how we're going to service our clients using technology. So learning more about that. A lot of the folks that I talk to at other firms, like in Canada and down in the US, like there's lots going on in ways that they can serve clients. So figuring that out and learning as much as you can about it, it would be great.
Love it. Okay, I think that is, we're 2:01. Didn't do my job, you guys. Thank you, Brenda and Allison, so much. You are shining examples of what this industry can do and what you can become. And I certainly look up to both of you. I cannot wait to be president myself. But thank you for your service and thank you for today. This has been so fantastic and so valuable. And like I said earlier, we've recorded it, so we're going to then throw it out into the world. But thank you, and I'll see Allison soon. Brenda, I hope to see you soon too. And thanks everybody for coming.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you,
Thanks,
Lindsay.
everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.